And we're live, Kiwi.
And we're
We
live.
are live, which means that it's Thursday night because the only time we go live is on Thursday nights.
Thursday nights.
The rest
That's
of the
right.
time we're completely
That's right.
dormant. Nothing happens.
Coda improvements. First on the board. How are you, mate?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're waiting.
Let me move this camera here. Okay.
It's all over.
Let's see. How's that? Is that better? Oh yeah. See that? I don't need a fancy crew. We don't need Motor Trend with boom mics and
Right.
no.
Yep.
See, I got it.
Easy.
Okay, Coda Improvements, John M. What's happening? Wilmakaiska, Tavo Garage, Tavo
Greasy
Garage.
Garage.
Which is it?
Tavo.
Tavo.
It'll be
Tavo.
Tavo, I'm sure.
All right. I was going to ask Maury about the pronunciation of that, but you got it, man. Greasy Garage, James Elliott, Rust Bucket Resto's Noof Dog. What's happening, brother, man? Dodge Boy. Uncle Mark's DIY Automotive Fix It Channel, Mike and Joe K.
Uncle Mark's, Manitoba, Canada. Welcome aboard.
Welcome everybody to our Thursday night,
Louisiana. They're
tech
all over there.
extravaganza.
Munster, Indiana.
We
Is
hang
it
around.
actually the home of the Munsters?
Probably.
Munster,
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
So this is where Kiwi just sits here and projectile vomits knowledge right at you guys.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something.
Ah,
Charlotte Quillen. I think she's my number one fan.
it's a he.
It's a he?
Yes,
With
it's a
Charlotte?
guy named Charlotte.
Oh, okay. I take
Because
that back.
that's the world we
Hopefully
live
he's
in.
not
That's
my number one
it's normal.
fan.
Yes. Nothing unusual with that.
Ah,
Coda, Tony, the Ed Pink video is awesome. Thanks for the recommendation. Ed Pink I've always been a huge fan of his, right? I think we may have different points of view regarding the camera and a bigger picture, an overall picture, but I learned a lot about the engine from reading stuff that he did. The man was just an absolute genius. And you see him still going, 92 years old. It's just awesome.
Joe K, is the six pack still coming soon? Well, you got most of it right. It's still coming, but soon, I'm not sure. As soon as I get through my backlog of work, yeah. So that's kind of as soon as.
Cabello Cabarado. Is that a real name? I hope it is. What were the glory days for you related to cars? Living them. I mean, it's all the glory days. What about you, Kiwi?
I'd have to say it's the last 12 years I've had the shop open.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever had like a dedicated hot rod shop. And yes, I mean, there's just old American cars every day. It's 7 days a week. And, like in New Zealand, especially when I was I've been in the States 15 years now, and hot rodding was pretty strong in New Zealand at that point, but not as strong as it is today. Like there's a number of dedicated hot rod shops. When I left, there wasn't really any dedicated hot rod shops. They were just collision guys that liked the hot rods and would do the odd one.
They were afraid of you. They knew as soon as they raised their hand, you would be swatting that shit down.
There you go. Charlotte, I'm a Mr. Kiwi. I'm a boy named Sue. Okay. Johnny Cash reference.
Oh yeah, you knew that. So I was going to say, that was a Johnny Cash one. It was actually I'm not a big Johnny Cash. I like some Johnny Cash stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Boy named Sue was
it was a good one. Yeah. Johnny and Kiwi. Any news on the catastrophic? Well, I didn't hear from the owner. Yes. Let's just leave it at that, shall we?
Sue me. Come and get me so I can have my 5 minutes of fame on Life of Palos.
Yeah, he's not my biggest fan. But I told the truth, so to hell with it.
Let's see. Benjamin Spiewak. Tony, what do you have to say about Atco closing for good? To be honest with you, I have no idea how they held on as long as they did. I really don't. They managed, the property value and the property tax hikes and all of the zoning issues and everything that happened in that area, they were talking about closing that track. Englishtown had been under the gun since the 80s, right? I mean, that was just normal. But they had been talking about closing that track before Joe Sway bought it. In fact, I think Joe Sway bought it just as they were going to close the track. And Bob Van Sciver. I miss Atco was a really good track. Atco was the best track. It had that mine shaft air. All of my best performances were always at Atco. It was a great place, but I'm not surprised that it closed, like even the slightest bit. It's a miracle it stayed as long as it did.
Charlotte, again, ever heard of Molly Hatchet, Alice Cooper, and Alison Change? Alice Cooper, yes. Alison Change rings a bell. Molly Hatchet, no. John M, yes.
Okay. Tavo, tech question: 6969 Dart hardtop and convertible. How much structural difference underneath? Watch the body styles video earlier. Put the thought in my head. The rockers are different. The convertible, all Mopar convertible rockers have a strip of reinforcement steel that runs through the center of the rocker, and they have torque boxes. They don't have the same type of torque boxes that the Hemi cars do. See, the Hemi torque boxes have the front torque box that or the torque box at the front of the leaf of the front of the leaf spring, which tied the rocker and the frame rail together. And they also had torque boxes in the back where the leaf spring, the shackle hung. But convertibles, A-body don't have those, the rear ones, because that was reinforced for when those cars were still used in NASCAR, where they would take like a regular floor pan and then put a roll bar in it and go race it in NASCAR. That was a throwback to that. But that's the only structural differences that I can think of, other than the bulkhead that goes around the back to support the rear quarters.
Hey, Jade Riley, wish we had the same relaxed rego rules in Australia as they seem to do in New Zealand. Man, that doesn't sound right. I've got to be honest with you. I tried to get a car that I took back from my old man registered, and man, they put me through hoops. Like, this car was perfect, and I spent 2 weeks trying to get it. Like 2 weeks, 40 hours a week, in another guy's shop, trying to get it up to do all the things they said I had to do, which was all, well, most of it bullshit. And I couldn't get it done in the 2 weeks, and I had to pay another guy to do, after I left, come back here, I had to pay another guy to finish off the list. We nearly got there, but not quite. So they put me through hell. So yeah, I don't think it's very relaxed at all in New Zealand.
We have the exact opposite. In Tennessee, it's just like, go ahead.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's extreme. Let's see.
Jeff Hutchins, shooting brake is a wedge-shaped blunt tail body style. I think a Phaeton is an open, an open front seat and closed back. That is a Phaeton. Yeah, I hadn't heard of the shooting brake one.
No, I have never heard that either.
Wedge-shaped blunt tail body style. What can you give us an example of a car that is a wedge-shaped blunt tail body style? Mexican speak, hey man.
John M., if an FMX needs to be replaced, what are the best options just to keep it as a summer weekend driver? C4.
Yeah.
C4.
Yeah. Have to go along with that.
Or an AOD.
Yeah, an AOD. I mean,
AOD's better.
Simplicity is the C4 as far as getting it in there. AOD, you've got to put different mounts and fart around with it. So C4 is the easiest way. If you're not doing a lot of miles, don't necessarily need the overdrive option. If you're driving it to Florida and back from Tennessee regularly, then get the AOD.
The C4 is Andy, Community Motorsports, has a C4 in Casper, or had a C4. I think it finally gave up, right? I don't know if you've ever been inside of a C4, but like all the internals are they look like they were made by Tonka. And like the shafts are like your finger. It's like you look at it and you're like, if I sneeze too hard, this thing is gonna break. But he has that thing. He has C4 in Casper, 700 horsepower, 4,200 pounds, and he's run 1090s with it in the quarter mile.
Yeah,
with a C4. And then finally,
they don't drag as much horsepower as the C6.
It's a better.
I see why he does it, and it's probably a limited lifespan on the C4 with that much horsepower.
I think he did it as a lark, kind of like he had it. It had it in his previous combination, and he was like, "Well, I got it. It's in there now. It'll all bolt together. Let's see what it's going to do."
Yeah, if it pops, it pops.
Yeah, and he got some runs out of it.
Rusty Water. If I broke a timing chain with only damage to the head, some metal in the pan, do I need to worry about the bearings?
Okay, if you broke the timing chain, that means piston hit a valve. Yeah, I would look at it.
I mean, you're going to have the pan off and the heads off. So why not just pop a cap and see
Yeah,
what's
seriously,
going on?
he's right. Just
Pop a few of the caps off. If you see some, if you find one, then you need to keep digging and take another one off and another one, and they'll all be screwed up, or they might be fine. If you take 4 or 5 off and there's nothing going on, carry on.
Only damage to the head. So no, the only damage was to a valve.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Check the pistons. Check to make sure the pistons are still the same shape they're supposed to be. I don't know what valve, the thickness of the valve, how hard it hit, how much of a mark it made in the piston, but check that too.
If the pistons take a hit from like a broken off valve head or something close to where the ring lands are, close above that can close that gap
down
up
and pinch on the
ring, and that's time to be rebuilt.
Charlotte Quillen, Mr. Kiwi, I am a high-end car painter. My heydays were painting 70 luxury cars with lacquered job Centauri and Imran. I remember when the Centauri came out. Then through the 90s, I owned a Toyota Lexus crash shop.
I bet that was profitable.
That Centauri, I remember when that paint came out. That was like, because I was surrounded by used car dealers at the time, and that was the big thing. I was like, Centauri. I was a butcher.
Yeah, I remember like the high end paint jobs were lacquer, and then the lower end were enamel.
JC Vaccaro, Tony, do you respect the 80s turbo Mopars? Very much so. I don't have one, but the reason I stay away from those cars is because they're really hard to get parts for. Like anything you need is like a gift from the gods, because there's no support for them. It's far easier to like do like a 67 Charger, let's just say, because there's lots and lots of people that have them, and lots of parts are interchangeable and around. And the turbo Mopars, the 80s Mopars, they're not. So it's more difficult to do an 80s Mopar, turbo or non-turbo, than it is to do like a Hemi car. Not as expensive, but as difficult to find the right parts.
So John M again, is the FMX to C4 a straight bolt-on? I think pretty sure it is, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, pretty sure it is. Same bell, same bolt pattern on the back of the block.
Right.
Should be same drive shaft,
flywheel,
same transmission mount.
Or flex plate.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be a straight swap.
There's a distance issue. The drive shaft is going to be, the FMX is longer.
Oh, the FMX is longer? Okay.
Wait, the FMX, well, a Ford guy would step in there. The FMX came in 2 different lengths?
I never messed with FMXs very much. It's not something I ever saw in the earlier days.
Larry's Lagoon. Thank you for the super chat, Larry. What is the latest on cam and lifter failures? I can find no new information. My friend, nothing as far as, I haven't wiped out anything recently. Nobody I know has wiped out anything in the last year or so, no, several months. Nothing new. But keep your eyes open, because it's happening all the time.
Super Dave, currently building an 82-305 Camaro. Just a fun small block build.
Nice.
Cool.
Chuck Austin, ET, I love the tutorial on sedans and coupes. When I was a boy, my dad brought home a 56 Ford Galaxy 500, 65 Ford Galaxy 500. He said it was a hardtop convertible, but the top never went down. Is that
I don't believe so, bud.
No, you had retractables, but a 65 Galaxy wouldn't have been one.
Yeah, they didn't make a retractable then.
Yeah, there you go. Mexican spec. The term hardtop convertible refers to the 57 through 59 Ford Skyliners, but not for a 65 Galaxy.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
There were other retractable top Fords.
I seen a 66 Mustang coupe done as a retractable hardtop.
Well, that was done aftermarket.
Oh yeah.
But there was.
Well, there was.
I'm drawing a blank.
The big Galaxy, the Galaxy. The Skyliners, yeah.
Yeah, but didn't Lincoln also have a retractable?
Yes, Lincoln did too. Yeah. Those JFK style Lincolns, slab side Lincolns.
Nathan McCree.
And they're a nightmare to make those things work.
There's a guy.
Yeah, one guy.
You know about this?
Yeah, one guy in the States.
There's one guy in his full-time gig. All this guy does is go around the country, probably around the world, and fix those retractable top cars. That's it. That's the only thing he does.
And years ago, it was $6,000. Didn't matter why it wasn't working. What was wrong? It's just flat $6,000. I'll rock up. When I leave, it'll be going, and I'll be $6,000 better off.
My friend Jim Bennett, he died last year. Did you know Jim?
Yeah. Well, no, I know of him.
You know of him?
Yeah.
He had one of those cars in his shop, and we were hanging out one day, and he says, "You want to see a real freaking nightmare?" I says, "Yeah." It was. I mean, I had never actually been in the guts of one of those things. I've seen him in action. It was crazy. There were relays and servos and lines.
Huge, long threaded rods that winded the screw like a screw jack.
It was just off the chain.
I had one, and we just thought, well, we'll see if the top comes down. I had one in the shop, and the trunk lid went up. They go up backwards, and then you had the motor going, and you heard it start to load.
Right.
And we kind of went, ooh, looked in the trunk, and those bars that go, it was like about 5 or 6 foot long. They were just bowing like hell. It's like, God, we better back this off and put it down and just pretend nothing ever happened. I have a 1/25th scale model of a 59 retractable. I got an 18th scale model of a 59 retractable hardtop. So there you go.
So Fubar just put up a link to my merch. Thank you, Fubar, the always awesome and incredible Fubar. And this is our newest shirt. It's in the store now. You guys want to order one? Go for it. Fubar just posted the link to our store. Super Dave, Tony, have you ever used the newer Comcam's DLC lifter, the coated ones? I have not. I've heard about them. I don't know. I haven't heard any real opinions of them one way or the other.
Just some guy somewhere got a bone stock engine with one annoying ticking lifter. Sometimes after a long drive, it goes silent. Anything I can do? Not really. Some people talk about using engine flushes and this and that, and trying to get the lifter clean.
Yeah, you can throw all that mechanic in a can stuff at it. But
yeah.
The likelihood of actually getting good results is slim to none. If it goes away, leave it. Leave it.
What did you call it? Mechanic in a can?
Yeah, mechanic in a can.
I used to call it compression in a can.
Compression in a can. Yeah, all these different things in a can.
Or octane in a bottle. That's BS too, isn't it?
It's everything's bullshit. Everything's bullshit.
Yeah. Like turn your 91 into 100 with a little bottle. Doesn't work. 360 Magnum factory roller camshaft or 440 and a 57 Bel Air. Which motor mounts to use?
Oh, that'll piss off a lot of guys, right?
Jeez.
Man, you know what? I would use the small block just because it'll be a real head scratcher. Like if you throw a 440 in there, people are going to see it immediately and they'd be like, "That's a Mopar, right?" But throw a Magnum in there with the distributor in the back, and people are just going to be like, "What? There's something wrong," but I can't put my finger on what it is.
What had happened to Jim Bennett's garage? As far as I know, it just kind of faded out of existence.
Yeah, Jim had a stroke, and that was it. One shot and you're out. And there was a lot of weirdness that happened. I spoke to his stepson recently. Like I guess it was maybe about 2 months ago. I spoke to his stepson, and he brought me up to speed on some of the stuff that was going on after Jim passed, having to do with Jim's business partner. None of it was good. You know what I mean? None of it was good. None of it sounded good, and that's all I could say about it. Jim was a really good guy with high integrity. Like he was a high integrity guy, and unfortunately, the people who not that he surrounded himself with, but the people who surrounded him were not.
Yeah, hit the like button, go. We only got 58 likes.
You've only got
You've only got 58 likes.
Dude, that's not how it works. If you look at it on my side of the screen here, okay, there's the 239. That's for me. So there's 239 people that like me, and there's only 59 people that like you.
Yeah, I think he might be making the rules up as he goes.
No, bro, I'm telling you, that's why it's on. That's on the big numbers on my side, the small numbers on your side.
And if we swap seats,
we can't. Because geez, look at them. Look at your numbers go up.
Oh, look at that. See, thanks, guys.
Yeah, 70, but you're still way behind.
Someone's got to stick up for me.
You're still way behind me.
Well, that's life. Looking to swap out the slant 6 out of a 73 Duster. Do you reckon a 360 LA or 360 Magnum?
What was that now?
The guy's taking a slant 6 out of his.
Okay, a 72
Duster.
Duster. Oh, go with the Magnum. The Magnum's a better engine overall. You get limited on intake manifolds if you go in carburetor, but it's a better engine overall. I would just go with it.
440, 360 bell housing bolt pattern the same for the 833?
The bell housing, well, the engine to bell housing, no. Completely different bolt pattern. But the bell housing to transmission, yes. All 833s have the same bolt pattern.
The Highlander, Tony, you were discussing the Mel on Sunday. The 57's Merc Super Marauder had a 430 and it was the first production car to break the 400 horsepower. That's impressive. In 57. Wow.
Well, you had that Mel sitting on the floor.
Yeah. That was a 430
That's
out of that 57
yeah.
Turnpike Cruiser. Yeah. I don't think it was making 400 horse though.
Man, Jim had a good channel. It could have went somewhere. Yeah. Kiwi actually has 738 likes. We've hidden some so Tony doesn't get mad at us. Oh, come on now.
Thanks, Chris. That's good. Yeehaw.
Let's see.
How come we didn't need electric cooling fans back in the 60s or 70s on our old muscle cars? Don't remember overheating problems back in those days.
Because people didn't make money selling you electric cooling fan conversion kits back then. And that's why it wasn't done. You know, so here's the thing, okay? There's marginal improvement over a good clutch fan, right? So because a good clutch fan really disengages and lets the motor go once it reaches that point of it. So there's not much of a difference as far as a clutch fan, a properly operating clutch fan, and an electric fan. An electric fan is superior to a flex fan. It's superior to any of the aftermarket fans like that. But in my mind, the extra complication, it's the extra thing that can go wrong. It's the extra. So in my mind, the mechanical fan wins every time, unless it's a very limited operation where I'm just going to turn a switch on and turn a switch off for the fan. Like Slaghammer has a fan, but it's like I don't want to rely on anything. When I see the temperature gauge goes up, I turn the fan on. The temperature gauge goes down, I turn the fan off. And that's as far as I ever want to go with an electric fan. I've seen nothing but long-term failures with electric cooling systems.
Chris Greenaway, UTG, undercarriage restoration in a can. I didn't know you saw. Is that in your merch? Is that part of your merch?
We could add that.
You could
that
add
wouldn't
that.
be a bad.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a bad addition.
You could just get some cans of molasses and rebadge it UTG. Kiwi, did you like the Ford versus Ferrari movie? I did, man. I got a huge poster. My daughter was working at the movie theaters when that was out, and she managed to snap up a one of it's about 6 feet tall. The poster.
She stole it. Your daughter's a thief. You raised it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Snap it up. Didn't say steal it.
Chris Freemaster, is an electric fan better for fuel economy as it allows the engine to get up to temp faster? No. The engine gets up to temp
due to the thermostat.
Yeah, due to the thermostat, not the fan. Or due to the thermostat not allowing water to circulate.
Yeah.
She borrowed the poster. Yes.
She borrowed the poster. Who said that? She borrowed Charlotte. Yeah. She borrowed them. Let's go with that. Yeah, that sounds like an idea.
Yeah, the Highlander is saying if you use an electric fan, use something OE and easily serviceable. I have a Cavalier fan on my B46 Ford. If it dies, I can get a motor cheap at any auto parts store. Oh, I agree with that, but it's the control units. The sending units and the control units that go there. The fan control units. Over the years, I've never seen one last more than, let's say, 2 years.
Dr. Art. Good evening.
It is Dr. Art. I got to get together with Dr. Art. He texted me some pictures. Bro, I'm so sorry I have not gotten back to you. But he texted me some pictures of the go-kart that he's building. The what was it called? It's not sudden death. It was. Um,
What are you doing with all this?
I gave him. I at one point I had a Top Fuel Harley,
Right.
right? A Pro Fuel Harley,
Jeez.
and I had a starter motor for it, which is the same as the starter motor we used to use on the fuel cars.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I had this thing laying around my garage forever, and he says, "Well, if Dr. Art wants to build go-karts, he wants to build electric motor go-karts. Well, here, build this thing." So you wired it up 36 volts, 3 batteries in series, and just let it rip, and it would waste your blue thing.
Really?
If it doesn't rip Dr. Art's head off in the meantime.
Oh, cool.
So, but he sent pictures, and I told him I would get back to him, and I haven't got back to him. I'm so sorry, Dr. Art. Kim fixes thing. Kim, where you been? I haven't seen you in a bit. Mary's red lead frame rail repair cream convertible formula.
What brand of paint do we use in our shop? Usually Exalta.
Nice.
Hmm.
Nice. Get Electro Boom to set your fan up. Have you ever seen that guy?
No.
Electro Boom?
No.
He's like he's an Indian or Pakistani or something, and he's like an electronics mad scientist, and he's always blowing stuff up and himself up. He's always short circuiting himself.
Oh dear. Bobby, yes, it's Thursday already, man.
How do you guys feel about Harbor Freight tools? A tad apprehensive, a bit standoffish.
You got to be a little selective. Certain stuff is worth it, and their electrical stuff I'm not sold on.
The Bauer stuff is good.
Right.
Right. I've got a few Bauer things.
Yeah. But I usually go every 6 months or something. I might go down there and I'll pick up straight edges and rulers and hammers and
right. It's so cheap you can just buy it.
Yeah, just stuff that's really not. If it gets a little bit too technical with Harbor Freight, they cut too many corners.
Right.
And it starts to like the stuff they've got a Chicago electric brand, and that wouldn't be my choice. But
if I
sell a lot of it.
If I ran a shop, okay, and I did repair work, right? Repair work type work on a regular basis. No, I wouldn't bother with that stuff. It's a joke. But if being what I am, where primarily I make videos and I do some car work, well, I'm not much different than the average guy screwing around in his house. And for me, for my purposes, the Harbor Freight stuff works fantastic. I have no complaints. No complaints.
Charlotte, yes, I do like polyester primers. Use them a lot. I think that's the only way to go. We usually lock it down with some epoxy. Do our body full of work, and then lay on a couple of gallons of polyester primer, block it back, probably another couple of gallons, block them back again, and away you go. You got a nice straight car. But the build and the build quality of the polyester is better than anything else, and it doesn't shrink. The shrink is so minute; it's like it's next to nothing. Compared to the urethane primers and stuff like that, which just shrink like a mother. Polyester all the way, man. It's a little hard to sand. I tend to keep the polyester for the coarser grits, and then
what?
Coarser grits.
Oh, okay. I just said coarser grits.
I had to say it slower.
Yes.
And then we usually put like a couple of coats of urethane on there. Let it dry. Just leave it be for a couple of weeks. Let it shrink. And then do the 400 sand on it.
Okay.
Any updates on the Charger? What's the updates on the Charger, Uncle Tony?
It's yeah. Next question.
It's just over there.
Yeah, I know it's just over there. I know.
It looks
aging.
Slightly different than it did last week.
It looks a little bit different. Yes.
But people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, because my Barracuda's sitting there looking exactly the same.
I know.
As it did 12 months ago.
Well, Ron was here one night last week, and you can see on the bottom there, he sanded that. Yeah. So now we're supposed to get some more primer.
That needs some polyester primer on the bottom of that. That'll straighten that out.
So that's the next. He's getting more primer, and we're going to do more priming and block sanding
block sanding.
some more. And
I can tell you're really looking forward to it.
oh yeah, I just want this car out of here. I just need to have this car out of here. All right, I don't want to talk about this car anymore.
Tony, can you recommend any information videos on when to make the change from cast to forged pistons on a naturally aspirated V8?
On a naturally aspirated V8, I don't really have an opinion on that because I've pushed cast pistons to places. Not just me. People have pushed cast pistons to places that they should never have gone.
I don't believe you can rev the tits of it, with a cast piston for a while. But it's been my experience that there's a window of life of a cast piston as compared to a forged piston. Forged pistons, you can just, like, they don't run cast pistons in an SCAR engine.
No.
Because they won't pull 8,000 RPMs for 500 miles.
Right.
They just won't. A good quality, like, multi-pocket forged piston, will just run pretty much all day. So it depends what you're doing.
If you're really a street engine.
If it's a street engine.
On a naturally
aspirated V8. So probably to give you a really good answer, we need to know a little bit more about the engine, what it is. Is it like a huge, big cubic inch engine that's the piston speeds are high? Is it a little small cubic inch screamer?
In my mind, the question is going to be how susceptible is it going to be to detonation? Because detonation is really what kills pistons.
Yeah.
So
true.
if it's a, let's say, a 500 horsepower, 400 plus cubic inch engine, run on good pump gas, not tuned to the ragged edge, not a super heavy car that you're going to run uphill. I would say 500 to 600 horsepower is probably way safe, normally aspirated, out of detonation. But if you got an engine that's detonating like crazy, you'll kill cast pistons at 150 horsepower. It's the detonation that gets them for the most part. And like what Kiwi is saying, for an endurance engine, a piston that's going to get really hot and has to maintain its shape for hours at super crazy high RPM, that's a completely different.
Dominic Siriganese. How did you become such a good bodyman fabricator? It's a good question. Honestly, it's a good question. I don't know. It sounds a bit over the top, but like I just seem to have a knack for it, or a gift, or whatever you want to call it. I can just look at a piece of metal, I start hitting it around, and I can make it into a shape that I need it. And a lot of it was self-taught, just messing around, trying to make custom sort of shapes for the old race cars and stuff like that. And I'd mess around, and I threw a lot of shit away that just didn't work. But every time you make something that you make it wrong, you now know how not to make it the next time.
No, when Kiwi, he doesn't talk about it very much, but when he was 14, Kiwi sold his soul to the devil in order to have these superior bodywork skills and everything else. So there's a lot of factors, and there you go.
Hey, I got $4.85, so
$4.85.
Yeah.
What?
For my son, you sold my soul to the deal. I got $4.85. Man.
And these incredible bodywork skills, and the charm that you exude over these people love you.
You see the ladies following me around.
Yeah, it's sickening. I know. The spit running out of their mouths. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Dominic, it's just practice, mate. It's just practice. You just keep, you got to enjoy doing it. If you get frustrated, like some people like try and make a shape and they get frustrated, pissed off, and don't want to do it.
He was fucking wrong. Okay, he's wrong. It's not just practice. Practice is a big part of it, but you have to have a talent for it. Yeah. Like I could tell you, me myself, I do not have a talent for it. I've tried, and I've tried. I've been patient with myself. I've been impatient with myself. I've tried for almost a half a century to do it, even remotely passable bodywork, and I can't do it. I don't have the talent. It's like not everybody can be an artist. Not everybody can be a sculptor or a painter or a musician or anything like that. There are certain brain wirings and relationships between the eyes and the brain and the fingers that allow these things to happen. Some people have it, some don't. He has it, I don't. So sometimes you just have to be happy with what you can do, and then go from there.
Yeah. The theatre retired the poster, and the daughter rescued it to bring it where it would be loved. See, that's what happened to the poster at the movies.
Brygond, I'm going to shower now. You guys are with me. No, don't do that. And I'm going to try to hear the conversation through the water sound. No, please don't listen to us. I assume you're a guy, right? Because if you're a chick, go right ahead, you know? But if you're a guy, please don't shower while you're listening to us, right? I mean, please don't. That's creepy. That's really creepy.
Is Kiwi from Nebraska? Do I sound like I'm from Nebraska?
Yes,
Oh, shit.
yes. Northern Nebraska. It
Oh,
has
dear.
very much the same thing as.
Kiwi, what following frame stiffening boxes, if any, should I install in my 70 RT Charger? Core support? Yeah, yes. Fender support. Torque boxes? Yes, definitely. Subframe connectors. Subframe connector. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of the subframe connectors. Tony and I were discussing that the other day, and there are some pros and cons with that. It depends a little bit what you're trying to do with it. You've got to be a little bit judicious with how much you stiffen a car up, because you can just move stress points around from one location to another. It depends a little bit on how much horsepower you're putting through the car. You're going to be like running quarter miles and doing pro stock launches with slicks on and stuff like that are going to just, with a manual transmission, that's just going to torque and twist everything up. Or is it just a street driver and you might skid the tires from the lights every now and again, you know?
It depends. Yeah, exactly. It depends on the use,
Mm.
right? So, okay, 440. Okay, here I have a 440 Charger, right? What frame stiffening or connectors or anything am I using in that? Zero, absolute zero. Why? Because it's a street car and it's got street tires, and all it'll ever do is just street car kinds of things, and it will never need that kind of support.
Mm.
Now, if you're going to autocross the car, let's say, and there's a lot of like torsional forces at work on the body, yeah, stiffen it up, right? If you're going to drag race thing, like he said, with slicks and a stick, and and you're shooting for like 140, 60 foots, and this thing's going to be all crazy and animal, yeah, okay, stiffen it up, right? But if it's a regular car, if it's a driver, you are gaining not a freaking absolute thing stiffening it up. You're only going to make the car feel harsh, and you have to drive one that's been all stiffened out versus one that's like, to really know the difference. And like from a handling standpoint, like, if you want to be speed racer and you get your gloves and you get your scarf and you want to go around turns, zing, zing, like this, okay? Yeah, it'll feel better. But if you're just driving this thing down the road, it'll feel harsh. You hit a bump and the whole thing goes, you don't want that. You don't want that.
One of the mistakes I see people making is they'll go to a lot of trouble of stiffening the car up, and then they'll also put stiff springs in.
Yeah.
And it makes it ride like a roller skate. Like if you stiffen the body up, you actually need to go softer in the springs, because the body doesn't move, so the suspension has to do all the work. So you actually need to make it sort of supple and follow the roads. You actually need to soften the springs, and that's something I learned from racing years ago. They went from bolt-in aluminum cages in race cars, like for circuit use,
right?
And then they mandated, the FIFA mandated that aluminum cages were banned, and you had to have welded-in steel cages, and people lost their minds. Like they'd take their car to the track with the new steel cage in, and it was going slower. It was lapping like a second and a half slower, and they could not figure out why. Everything else was the same except the weld-in roll cage. And what they had to do was they had to soften the springs up by about 20%.
Because now you're putting all of the tires, the contact patch of the tire now has to soak up every unevenness or every imperfection on the surface that you're on. So something has to give, and if you don't allow some part of the chassis or the suspension to give, then the tire's going to give.
I mean, the ideal chassis for a race car is it doesn't move at all. It's like, and that's wishful thinking, because every chassis flexes some, like Formula One cars flex. There's just no way around it. But you want it as stiff as you possibly can, so that then the suspension does 99% of the work, not the body.
A lot of it depends. Here's the thing, though, right? A lot of that depends on the type of car and the type. So here's an extreme example. right? Have you ever seen a Top Fuel dragster launch in slow motion?
Yeah.
Right? What happens?
Oh,
The
they
whole
twist and
car just
flex
does
and
this. It
yeah.
contorts and does all kinds of craziness.
Mm.
And so do the tires. So now this has no suspension.
Mm.
So the flex of the chassis, along with the give of the tires, the squish of the tires, is what the suspension is.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
But if you
So,
had suspension in that car, then you would need to have everything stiff.
yeah.
And
But
so,
that's what I was saying, like for a circuit car. Or,
oh,
or you know, I
okay.
guess here in the States we call them a road course car.
Right. Well, the
Yeah.
discipline in stock eliminator cars for a while, probably still, I don't know, it's been a long time since I paid attention, was to make the car as absolutely stiff as possible. So there's zero give in it. And then work only with the suspension, the tire and the suspension.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. If you're going to go faster around turns, you should probably just get a Honda.
I agree with that too. I agree with that too. Use the right tool for the right job.
69 Kingswood. Mexican Spec. You got a 69? Oh, hang on.
Nice.
Chevy made a Kingswood, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, the Kingswood.
I'm thinking of Holden Kingswood.
Oh, no.
That was an Australian model.
Um,
The General Lee flexed a lot when it landed. Yes, it did. Only once, though. Just the one time.
Wheelie King, if Top Fuel cars had suspension, the stands would need to be pushed back 100 feet for safety. Yeah, I agree.
How much horsepower can be had under a six-pack?
How much can be had under a six-pack?
So how much, I guess he means how much horsepower will a six-pack flow? How many CFM will it?
A six-pack flow is 950 CFM, well, give or take. 950 CFM. It's the combined airflow through the three two-barrel carburetors is rated at 1,350 CFM. So it's 350 CFM center carburetor, and the two outboard carburetors are 500 CFM. So that's 1,350 on paper.
That's a lot of carburetor.
But the actual flow through those three carburetors, wide open, equivalent to a four-barrel, is 950 CFM. So figure out how much power you can make with a 950 CFM dual plane intake manifold, because that's an important part. So you got the volume, but you may not have the right distribution for that volume given the type of engine that you're doing. So, but yeah, you're flowing the equivalent of 950 CFM through a dual plane intake manifold. That'll tell you how much power you can make with it.
Oh, look at that. I got Dominic's last name first time.
Wow. Sagnis.
I impressed myself.
I just did it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both did it.
Yeah.
Right, okay, Kiwi. You still only have 134 likes. Look, I'm way over 300. And you,
gosh. Yeah,
313.
Okay, you're over double.
Yeah.
What can I say?
134. Just 134.
That's what happens when you know. That's what happens when you poach content and buy fans. Yeah.
Joe K. What was that?
What did I say too quietly? Sorry.
In and out, I think I may have just had a stroke.
A little stroke?
Yeah.
I said that's what happens when you poach content and
yes.
pay for subscribers.
And raid
trash cans.
Trash cans.
Yeah. Anyway, seriously though, folks.
Joe K, where do you draw the line at simplicity? Where you want to achieve a certain power level, but you're running power areas, heat exchangers, remote intercoolers, ice tanks, wiring, plumbing, and more. Your budget, bro. It's your budget.
Yeah,
How much money do you have to spend? Because if you don't have a lot of money to spend, you keep it as simple as possible. How much of a crew do you have? Because that's another important thing too. People always leave that out. They're like, I am going to load my race car, with every bit of technology there is. Okay. And they've got this stuff all just packed in there, and it's wired like the space shuttle. Okay, you're one person. Are you going to the track? It's you and your wife and your dog. Okay, and are you going to like oversee all of this stuff and correct the little things and fix the little things as they go bad? And they popped the fuse here. Let me go. No. So how complicated you make your car is a factor of two things. What is your budget? The more budget you have, well, just go right ahead and pack every freaking thing you can in there. And how much help do you have? You know what I'm saying? You pack a lot of stuff under your hood, and you got to do a simple thing like, my valve cover gasket is leaking, but I got to pull all the hot side stuff off, and I've got this connector and that thing and the other thing. How much help do you have when you go to the track? So that's your answer, right? If you're working on a working man's budget and you're going to the track and doing this stuff by yourself, well, then your main priority is to just keep everything as simple as possible.
So Andrew Button wants to know if he removed the choke. Where did it go? I want to know if you remove the choke plate and shaft from a 600 CFM carburetor, how much CFM would you gain?
I just saw a thing on this recently. Somebody actually flowed a carburetor with or without the shift, and the difference was like, it was under 30 CFM. It was like 28. The number that sticks in my head is like 28. It's not a huge amount, but there is a cumulative effect of doing things like removing the choke plate and the bar and milling down the tower and all of that, smoothing the entrance. There's a lot of small things that end up making a big difference.
Johnny Honda's asking an in-depth question, which I'd really... Thoughts on closed chamber Aussie heads versus 4V heads with port stuffers on a 351 Cleveland? Yeah. I don't know.
That's
sorry, man. That you're getting into... you need to talk to like an engine guy, an engine specialist. Tony's more of an engine specialist than me, but by a long
not
way,
according to my trolls, I'm not. I'm working my shopping cart.
Yeah, when I want some serious horsepower, there's a couple of people that I go, and because their knowledge is just way above mine. There's just not enough room in the head to know all the answers to all the questions. There's just not. The skill is knowing who to talk to, the right people that will give you good information.
Joe K saying, I lost Joe K.
Joe K.
Oh, I do enjoy simpler the better. This is a reaction to how I see many builds going nowadays. Yeah, I see that too. And it's like a dick swinging contest. It's like, who can spend the most money? Who can have the most exotic stuff? Who can please the most advertisers? You know what I'm saying? Who can get the prominent spot at the Holly LS Fest or Mo Party or whatever it happens to be? And so they just keep throwing shit at it. Or you get the whole no prep kings, world where it's like these guys are just puking money like there's no tomorrow, and they've got all the help in the world. And so, yeah. Simple. Keep it simple and have fun. That's all you want to do. Just have fun.
It's kind of interesting the way that the hobby's going. I mean, if you look at the Riddler Awards, you ever had a good look at a Riddler winner?
Yeah.
It's really like they go, okay, we want to do this, like X. And what is the most difficult and the most expensive way we can achieve this? Not what's the best, what's the most budget
practical,
friendly?
What's the most attractive?
Yeah.
What's the most useful? No, none of that.
It's what's the most expensive.
Right. It's because it's a dick swinging contest. That's all it is. They're not trying to build
and it has got a little gone. I mean, it's all subjective, of course, but I think it's gone a little over the top.
So, Kathy and I are getting a border collie.
Oh yeah.
Right, because we've always wanted a border collie. So we've gotten a border collie, and Kathy wants to train us to do agility and all this other stuff. And when she was young, her family raised German Shepherds for show. Okay. So I went to a dog show this last year, right? And I noticed that all of the dogs are freaks, right? The dogs at the dog show don't look anything like regular dogs anymore, right? Like the beagles have these square, chunky faces instead, the way a beagle, right? Mm-hmm. And the German Shepherds, she used to raise German Shepherds, my wife. And the German Shepherds are all scared of their own shadows, and they have weird hip things, and they're like this slanted in the back now, right? Because it's like the same basic thing as you get like with the Riddler Award, or where the thing becomes a perversion of what it's supposed to be.
Right.
Like they've bred these dogs, these show dogs, into this weird conglomeration of things that were never supposed to be, and they're unhealthy and they're scared of their own shadows and everything else. And then you get like the show car guys that are just like, well, what's the hardest way we can do this? What's what's the most over the top? What's the most ridiculous way? And either way, you end up with these mutated things that have no purpose. They're not useful. They're not happy. They only exist. I just went off on a rambling thing, right? I just had an existential crisis. On YouTube. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I need therapy.
But no, the Riddler stuff's gone far. Well, last time I looked at one, it was a '57 Chevy, and the 57s have the little wing on the back, right? And there's a chrome stainless steel molding that goes from the door, like back to the point of the fender, and then back down through the tail light.
Yeah.
Right, and that's made up of several pieces. One, a little corner piece, and a long bit, and a vertical bit, and then the tail. That was all cut out of billet. The whole thing was cut out of billet. So it was probably weighed, I'm complete guess, but like 2 pounds. And they milled it out of probably a 400-pound block of aluminum, which that's expensive. And, like it took, 5-axis mill or whatever it was that they used, probably 4 days to cut it. And then some poor installer's got to get it on the car without kinking it.
Yeah.
Without putting a little bend in it, because it's probably a $15,000 piece.
I know, and that's why I stay away from that whole world of stuff. I like custom cars. I wouldn't want one myself, but I enjoy looking what people do with them until you see that sort of thing. You know what I mean? And it's alienating. It's just.
And that and yet there's that Pontiac Ute that we looked at.
Well, that was beautiful.
That was beautiful, and it was not wildly like the guy used his own money clearly to do it with, and he spent some money on it. It wasn't a $10,000 car by any means.
Right.
He spent some money on it, but it wasn't like he had the wheels made specially, but he thought about it and he did it. He just got a regular old 17-inch wheel got fabricated up like the 8-lug Pontiac wheel, and made it look like it was an 8-lug Pontiac wheel, and it wasn't. But
when I see that car, right, in my mind, represents what a show car should be, right? It's perfect, right? As far as for it's as perfect as human hands are going to make it. Okay, and it's beautiful and it's cleanly executed, but it's attainable, and it's attainable because this guy did it at home or in his shop, wherever he did it.
Yeah.
It was done by a guy. You know what I mean? You could do this. You could attain this. But you could never attain that piece of stainless or that piece of billet
unless you got a
trim, unless you have exactly.
Because it doesn't just stop there. That was just one of the pieces that I noticed. It was like the whole car was like that. It was. I mean, they say to get into the top 8 of the Riddler, you need to spend about 1.2 million, and if you're serious about winning it, it's more like 1.82 million.
For a car that is utterly useless, that you can't use.
Most of those cars aren't road registered. They're not tagged for the road. They go in a trailer, they get pulled out of the trailer, pushed into the car show venue, and roll back into the trailer. And, I mean, people rag on that, but I mean, people pay $100 million for an oil painting from some guy that you never heard of, and they think that's a good deal. So,
well, the thing is, okay, but that like stupid money, $100 million for a painting. Okay, so if it was done during the Renaissance era, and it's done on a type of paper isn't used anymore, and a type of ink that isn't available anymore, and by an artist with a name, I could see that, because it can't be reproduced.
No. But it's more about not whether it's worth it. It's just that different things are worth different amounts to different people. And some people don't think much about dropping $2 million on a car.
No.
A lot of those Riddler winners, the guys that own those cars, have owned several Riddler winners. So it's not just like a once-in-a-lifetime deal. They like to own Riddler. They like to say, yeah, I've won 4 Riddler. What's better than winning the Riddler is winning 4 Riddlers. Or 5 or 6, or Yeah. Anyway, we should probably read the comments more. We're just rambling, and people are hopefully watching. But hey.
Those lowrider chaps do amazing paint jobs. I love those lowrider cars.
They're crazy. Talk about patience.
Ellie Schmidt always, Tony, did you drop the front of the Virago? Oh, you're the one who said you suggested dropping at 20 millimeters. I haven't done it yet. I've just been busy with
just
all this
between
stuff.
you and me, still trying to figure out what 20 millimeters is.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to call him and say, hey, this foreign thing he wants me to do to the site. But no, I need water. You want water?
I want water.
I put them in the fridge just for us.
Well done.
Guys, I'll be right back.
All right. Okay. We should go comb the used car lots for ex-Riddler cars, buy a Riddler car here, pay here. That's the way to do it. South Jersey Gym. Yep, the tubular upper control arms. Yep, that's a plus. No Heim joints. I agree. Heim joints are for race cars, not for street cars. So yeah, gaining the caster and the lower control arm pivot pins. That's all good stuff. Charlotte, good Lord, 2 slant sixes tilt the other way in New Zealand. Yes, they do. How did you know that?
Cool, refreshing
What's
HPO.
We just
The breakfast of
I
champions.
was just explaining that the slant sixes do in fact slant the other way in New Zealand and Australia.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
The slant sixes?
Yeah.
No, they don't. He's trying to fool me.
It nearly got him. There was a look of doubt. I don't know whether you could see
He's
it,
like-
but there was a look of doubt in his eyes.
All these
He was like,
foreigners are the same way.
"Really?"
They come over there, think they can outsmart us. And they're usually right, but not this time.
Not this time. He saw right through me. There we go. We're up to speed now. Kiwi, do you have any European cars? Yes, I have an Audi. And no, that's not European. No, just an Audi.
An Audi is European.
Yeah, that's all I mean. That's all I've got. Just the Audi.
Oh.
Yeah. I've got a little Sunbeam, but that's really kind of English, Anglo-American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew Button, did you guys see the video with a C-body with the slant six? Yes.
See, even Tavo says slant six.
Tavo's
slants towards the
lying
steering box. It does tilt towards the steering box.
in New Zealand.
Well, the steering was on the other side.
It tilts, yes, towards the steering box. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, enough about that nonsense. Where do we go? It's zero.
Zero, what's happening, brother man? His background is in car shows. Yeah. 63 and under traditional hot rods and customs. Ink and Iron Festival. Because zero is cool.
Tony, what's your favorite B-body?
Oh, God. See, you ask me that question tomorrow and I give you a different answer. The one that pops into my head, 66 Belvedere two-door sedan.
Charlotte, you need to move to Franklin, all right? And you're certified to paint Audis, you can paint. So you need to move to Franklin and come see me. Merle O. Roberts, 72 Olds Custom Cruiser. That's a wagon, isn't it? Custom Cruiser? Yeah, that'd be cool. LSV8 swap FTE.
I don't know what FTE.
FTE. Don't know what that is, but it sounds like a cool wagon. Very cool wagon. Fart Master Flash. That's a good name. I like that name. Plymouth Cricket. What about a Plymouth Cricket?
That was an English car.
Oh, was it?
Hmm?
Huh. What was
Yes,
it really?
people think it was, it was
What was
Japanese,
it?
but it wasn't.
Oh, what was it
The
then?
Cricket was English. The Colt was Japanese.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Colt was a Mitsubishi Mirage in New Zealand. If I'm right, I think that's the case. Evening, gents. You fellas encountered any Rover SD1s there in the US? Yes, in New Zealand, not here. No, never seen an SD1 Rover here.
I have no idea what that even is.
You're not a lesser man for not knowing that.
Thank God. Grumpy's Gym Reviews. Hey guys, I'm looking for a long-term solution for preventing rust on fasteners. Paint chips off the second you put a socket on them. Yes, it does. DIY plating seems like too much work. Thoughts? Okay, question. Is it a critical fastener or is it like a body fastener? Because if it's like a body fastener, you could heat it to like a dull red and then quench it in oil.
No, yeah, that turns them black.
It'll turn to black and it won't rust.
I learned that we did that in shop class way back.
You quench them in oil.
Yeah.
And it won't rust.
No.
But you are hurting the metallurgy of the bolt. So if it's a non-critical fastener, so it's like a fender bolt or bolts that hold your dashboard in place or hinges or some shit like that, right? Then yeah, you could do that and you won't have any problem. But don't do it like on a suspension bolt. Don't do it on like an engine, like an important engine bolt. Do it on valve cover bolts, but don't do it on head bolts.
ARP fasteners is like, it's not cheap, but that's a good way of getting strong stainless.
Well, that's another way
fasteners. Too. If you are going to use stainless, especially if you're putting any stainless, you want to use an anti-seize compound of some kind. That's a trick with stainless. It's relatively soft, And once those threads start to pick up, that's a nightmare. So you do need to use an anti-seize compound with any stainless hardware.
Grumpy's gem reviews, non-critical. I tried the quenching and tested it with peroxide and vinegar, and it rusted quickly. Well, okay, hang on a second, bro. Are you going to be driving this car through peroxide and vinegar storms? Because if you're not, and it's just like regular water, it's not going to rust. It won't rust.
Mexican spec, put Vaseline on exposed metal. Yep, I mean, you're right. You've got to keep it there, of course.
Yeah, that'll wear off.
That'll wear off. There's stuff you can buy at Tractor Supply, which is like a spray-on rust inhibitor, but it's not a paint. It just kind of wets the surface and soaks in, and it'll stop rust for 6 months. And the farmers use it a lot. They just spray it on stuff they don't want to, 60 coats of paint on over the 30 years they own it, and they just spray this shit on.
I guess it just depends on the use of the car.
Yeah.
But he's just sitting here now. Won't rust with salty roads in the Midwest. How salty and how often is it going to be subjected to the salt, and do you clean it off? Because just splashing it with salt water, or like snowy salt water, and then it probably won't rust, providing you're going to clean it off. And if it's that kind of car, see, like if it's the kind of car where you care that an exposed fastener isn't going to rust and the paint is going to chip, well, then you're not going to let it sit there and be covered in salt and dirt and road grime and everything else to give it a chance to rust. So I wouldn't really worry about it too much.
Tavo's saying the Plymouth Cricket was a Hillman Avenger in the British form.
Yes, I was going to say it's a Hillman.
Dodge Colt equals Mitsubishi Galant. Okay. So what was the Mitsubishi Mirage then? I think they had those over here. I'm not sure what they called them here.
Tavo, the first Colts were in Galants. They were 1974. I think they brought the Colts over. Was it 73 or 74? I'm not sure, but they weren't Gallants. That was a later.
Galant, not a Gallant.
Whatever that.
There's no R in it.
A big Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi, yeah, one of
those. Let's see. I think he's referring to. I think Tavo's talking about the Dodge Challengers, the Plymouth Sapporo and the Dodge Challenger. I think those were Mitsubishi Gallants. Galant.
I do remember a Mitsubishi Sapporo. That was a funky looking two-door job.
Yeah, the Plymouth. So they had the Challenger and the Sapporo.
Okay. Because we had Mitsubishi Celeste as well, which that was an Arrow. They called that an Arrow here.
Which was a good looking car.
Yeah.
That was a good looking car. The best looking funny car body of all time.
Yes, yeah.
Best looking funny car body of all time.
Billy Bob Holcomb stood alone at Autorama some years ago staring at a rail dragster with a Kama 6 Lenco Trans. What the heck is that word? Painted diff. If you thought it was, I thought it was beautiful. I was the only one that could see it. What gives?
It might have been an intradimensional rail dragster with a Camera 6. In that case, only you were tuned into its vibrational frequency, and so you saw it. Well, maybe not.
Galant was much bigger than the Colt. Yeah, I thought the Colt was a Mitsubishi Mirage, but I wouldn't. It's a long time ago, and a Mitsubishi Mirage or Colt were not top of many people's hit parades, really.
Don Carlton died in a Hemi Colt. Yes, he did. Paul Cavazola, the 69 Chi-Town Hustler was the best looking funny car. Yeah, yes. I mean, it was a beautiful car. It was a beautiful car, but the most beautiful, no, there were others. Like right off the top of my head, the Johnny Loper Little Haas Arrow, 1978, 1977, 1978. Oh God, there were so many beautiful funny cars. But yeah, okay. I mean, the 69 Hustler was a gorgeous car, and I liked that because they had the driver offset to the actual driver's side, and they had the engine offset to the pass. So it was set up pretty cool. It was set up weird.
Mark Warman or Tony D'Agostino?
I don't know Mark Warman. Don't really want to know Mark Warman, and I've known Tony D'Agostino for my God, I've known Tony D'Agostino for like 45 years now.
South Jersey Jim, what brought me to the States? I was lucky enough to get a green card, and just always wanted to come and live in the States. Just always did from a young age. Just America just seemed so cool, and Disneyland and all that sort of stuff, and then that progressed into cars and old American cars. And just I've had a love of old American cars for literally since it's probably 10 years old. And yeah, so got the chance to come here and like legally, and here I am.
And there you are.
Yeah.
John Anderson, funny cars were best before they became unidentifiable blobs. There's a period of time between the Wonder Wagon and the Batmobile, right? Bernstein's Batmobile. There was a period of time there between those two cars. I guess it was about 13 years, 12, 13 years, where funny cars were just the tits. They were just beautiful.
Blaze Urati. I hope I haven't mashed that one up. Favorite year Charger?
Oh, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah.
Favorite year Charger? I'm going to say 71. I like the 71s.
I like the 68.
Do you?
The round tail lights.
See, and the 68 is my least favorite of the second gen. I like the 69.
Right.
Because I like those taillights. I like the, what do they call them? Not Delta.
See, there's no rights or wrongs. It's just what floats your boat. It's just what floats your boat.
Okay, differences. Okay, between 68 and 69, I'm not crazy about the texture of the dashboard or the gauge cluster on a 68. The 68 has those ribs, those vertical lines, and the 69 has a pebble grain.
Oh, you're really detailed, aren't you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
I never even thought about there being a difference between the two dashes.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
And
Okay.
the 68 has.
I've never owned a Charger, of course, but hey,
Really?
No.
You're kidding me?
No.
How can you be like a hot rod guy and never owned a Charger?
Well, owning a Charger in New Zealand, like they were just rare as.
See, they were common as dirt here. They were everywhere.
I knew when I was kind of actively into hot rodding in my kind of early 20s, stuff like that. I knew of two Chargers.
Okay.
Two. One was a 440 with, it was all wild out, and one was a 318.
I had dozens of them. The other thing I don't like about the 68s is the pleats in the seats. The 68s have these pleats that
I'm never going to build you
side
a custom
to side.
You're fussy.
And the 69s have this like square pattern. It's a pattern of large squares.
Oh, yeah.
And they like that.
Okay.
But I don't like the pleats that they put. There's a lot of things about the 68 I'm not crazy about.
Oh. I won't buy you one then.
And I think the grill is too plain, to tell you the truth. I think the grill is just a hair too plain. I think that they max it out. They hit it right out of the park at 69 with that little beak that they put in there, which is every Barra 71, 70 Barracuda like. I like the little beak that's in there. And then at 70, they jump the sharp with the chrome loop that goes all the way around. That's just ugly.
Right.
Yeah. I'm talking too much about Chargers, aren't I? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Blake's buddy has a 72 Charger. What are our dream cars? Yeah.
Olive says she likes the Charger 500 with the exposed quad headlights and the round tails. Okay, so that is a 69, and it doesn't have round taillights. It has the grill. Okay, so that's a 69 Charger 500. They built 392 of those. And what that is the front end of it is a 68 Coronet grill that they flush mounted, because the recessed mount on the regular Chargers caught air, on a NASCAR tracks. So they used a 68 Coronet grill in that 69 Charger 500 to flush mount it, and they have the quad headlights there. And in the back of the car, there's just the taillight's a regular 69 Charger, but the back of the car has a flush mounted back roof. It has a plug that fits into the buttresses on the side of the C panels, and it's got a plug there and a flush back window and a short trunk lid. And those features carried over to the Daytona. So the first half of the year they built the Charger 500, and then they added the nose cone and the wing, and that became the Daytona.
What was that one I saw? TJ Pence, he's built an engine stand and is wondering how to wire it up. We're going to use an MSD ready to run distributor, but don't know if I need to wire it up to a ballast. You should not have to wire it up into a ballast. No, should just be a 12-volt core with a 12-volt feed. And
yeah, unless you want an alternator, I wouldn't bother with a ballast either.
No. Were New Zealand Chargers funky looking like the Australian Chargers? The New Zealand Chargers were exactly the same as the Australian Chargers. I thought they looked great. I guess what you define as funky. But the New Zealand Chargers were nothing like the Dukes of Hazzard Chargers. Nothing like them at all.
Yeah. South Jersey Jim says, I'm with UTG on the 69, but I got a 70 in the grill, which I was never nuts about, has really grown on me. Gotta love second-gen Chargers. Bro, they're all beautiful cars. All of those Chargers are beautiful cars. But this 70, they lost me in a lot of ways on the 70. The thing that gets me about the 70 more than anything else is the plastic on the dash pads. Because 68, 69, the dash pads are all, they're foam. They're padded foam. And then in 70, that hard plastic. And it just cheapens the feel of the car. But that's just me. They're beautiful. They're all beautiful. It's like taking the three prettiest women at the party and picking them apart. Little things like that. They're all beautiful.
Blaze with another question, asking me if would I build a copy of the Mad Max car? Yeah, I would. Getting your hands on a Falcon Coupe is challenging.
Let's make one.
Man, you got 50 grand to start the project, because that's what the car will cost you.
No, what's its closest American cousin?
Torino, like a 71 sort of Torino, 72 Torino.
Should be able to pick one of those up.
Oh, those ones you can get fairly cheap, yeah.
So
but you could do a Mad Max version on that. Yeah. What'd be cool is to do a really nice, legitimate hot rod version, or my version of a hot rod version of the Mad Max car, because the movie car was a little agricultural, really. But then it was meant to be, they were
supposed to be Mad Max.
It's supposed to be Mad Max, yeah. So it wasn't particularly pretty. But I think it'd be fun to build a pretty version of the Mad Max Falcon. But yeah, here we'd have to do it with a Torino, because just getting it's 50K for a Falcon Coupe, and then you got to get it here. it's too much.
Andrew Button says it was built to compete with the Torino Talladega in '69. No, the 500 came first, then the Talladega, then the Daytona.
Olam Drab, he must have seen one with the tails or the front clip swapped out. They did a lot of that, possibly. I believe, in Dukes of Hazzard, because they were running out of 69s and they were getting 68s and hacking them up, turning them into 69s as best they could. But when it was flying over the cameras over the river and landing on the other side, it wasn't, authenticity wasn't all that important.
UTG, thoughts on a 70 Impala? One of the most awesome cruisers you could possibly have. And the lowrider guys will slit your throat for one.
Yeah, that's the truth. A friend of mine has got a bunch of those, that sort of era. He loves those big body
GM I love those too.
And he's looking at actually having like floor pans and stuff made for them, because you can't get floor pans for them and they all need it. So he's actually looking at tooling up to, or getting a company in China to tool up and actually make them.
Mexican Specs was the first convertible I ever drove with a 70 Impala. I was hooked. Joe K, the lowriders mostly go for 71 through 76.
Probably.
I don't know. I'll tell you what, Zero would know if Zero is still here.
JC Vaccaro, yes, they certainly did trash a lot of Chargers in the Dukes of Hazzard, a lot of them. But when that series was made, how much was a Charger worth?
Nothing. The Charger was worth nothing back then, because they were literally all over the place and nobody wanted them.
American Mad Max, yeah, Torino Super Cobra Jet. You probably just get a plain Jane one.
Blaze Urati. I know I probably heard your name there. My dad had a 72 or 73 Charger, but he junked it before I was born. 72 and 73 are actually completely different cars. They look the same. They look the same. You park them, like you look at a picture of a 72, you look at a picture of 73, and you say, oh, it's the same car. But if you actually put them next to each other, they're completely different. The body lines are different. The wheel openings are different. The grills, the taillights, the roof is completely different. 73, 74 Charger uses a 71, 72 satellite roof. They disguise with that piece of trim that they put, that C piece of trim on the hardtops, and on the coupes they put those louvers. The SE package, they put those louvers. But a 72 or 73, 74 Charger uses a 71, 72 satellite roof. Trivia, right? I know too much about these cars. Somebody make me stop, please.
Douglas Self is raving. He's loving on the Valiant 245 cubic inch Hemi 6. More grunt than a yard full of pigs. That's a good way of explaining it. There. Catch up a bit with the questions. Yeah. Old school, yeah, Zero. I'm with you. Old school low rider don't dong. I do not like those. Yeah, it's not my thing. They look dangerous to drive. They've got, the suspension is just crazy. Wow, Charlotte, you saw Superbirds and Daytonas sold for $600 to $800. Good grief, really? Wow. Huh, 104 Speed Shop. He's got a 75 Chrysler Newport two-door. Pretty rare. Wonder why it didn't catch on. They were great cruisers. They were awesome cruisers. That's a cool car, man. Okay. We couldn't have a Mopar 67 or 70 fastback Mustang. Yeah, they're hard to beat.
I like the 69s. The 69 fastbacks are just beautiful.
Yeah, that's probably the pick of the bunch for me.
Charlotte, when I saw dealerships convert Daytonas back to Chargers. Yeah, that happened.
Danny Boyd, ILS swapped a toilet roll. I want to see a picture of that. Please send us a picture of that. I got to see that.
Frank was saying, I remember when dealers couldn't give away Daytonas and Superbirds. Yeah, they were. I mean, come on, really? Who in their right mind wants to buy this? And you're not going to drive it. You know what I mean? It's like you got to be a psycho to look at that with just the pointed nose. Forget about the wing being the most obnoxious thing on the road, but how do you drive that thing with the pointed nose and no protection? And just
Tavo, really? You had those cars and sold them? Ugh. A Bathurst 4-barrel Pacer. Good Lord. Yeah, that'd be some money now, wouldn't it, brother?
What year was the Gator Green top and option? 1970.
Huh.
And I believe in 71 on certain cars. Sure. Oh, did I time you out? I'm sorry about that. Curmudgeon, Larry Shinoda knocked the 69 Mustang out of the park. I agree. That car is perfection from every angle. It's just beautiful. It's perfect.
The 70 lost me. It's like,
yeah, no.
Why did they take such a step backwards in 1970?
I don't know.
They got rid of the side scoops, which were just cool. In the rear quarter, the side scoop. But, they deleted those in 70, and they messed with the headlights too. And the tail, and it's like the 69 was just so much better.
Dead on. The 69 is dead on.
Yeah. 69 is good in so many ways.
You know, Kiwi, sometimes you make me wonder why I did. Come on, this is a family show, and we think pure thoughts here, okay?
That's all I was
We
thinking.
think pure thoughts, Kiwi.
69 Camaro. 69
This is why I have
Charger.
319 likes and you only have 185 likes.
Nash Metros are cool. Yes, they are cool.
Jose Campos, hey guys, how rare is a stock 410 Posi and automatic car? Mine's a 70 Roadrunner. Okay, it's not called the Posi in a Mopar. It's called a Sure Grip. Posi is a General Motors term, just so that you know. How common is it? Not very, but it was available.
There you go, Xavier. Thanking you for your video on carb vacuum.
You're quite welcome. I'm glad you got something out of that. Like when I say at the end of a video, I say, I hope you got something out of that. I really sincerely mean, I hope you got something out of that. I guess you did. Laurel Flynn.
I saw that 7169 comment. That's funny. But we'll upset Tony if we get into that.
What was it now?
You don't want to know.
I don't want to. Laurel Flynn, can you guys give me the lowdown on the lockup torque converters and later model torque flights? And are they an easy retrofit to older cars without too many electrics?
Man, I'm hunting you down. Look at the likes. You see, we're catching.
I'm still way over 100 ahead of you. Come on, I'm 124 ahead of you.
You were over double there for a while, but you're fading.
Oh, yeah, I am fading. I know.
Come on, guys, help me out here.
Okay, there is no electronic control on a lockup. It's purely hydraulic. So if you want to convert a regular torque flight to lockup, first you need the lockup converter. You need the input shaft. You need the, well, actually, you know what? I'll tell you what. I think you need the whole pump assembly. You need the whole front assembly out of that transmission, and you need a valve body. The valve body is different, but there's no electronics in that.
Billy Bob Holcomb is plugging your merch. UTG merch will make a fantastic gift.
Well, thank you, Billy Bob.
Just, I mean, my birthday's coming up soon. Just saying.
Your birthday's coming up?
Yeah,
when?
soon.
When's your birthday?
August.
August what?
25th.
25th. Kathy's is 23rd.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have a party for you guys.
Have a party.
We'll have a party here.
We'll do
It'll be great.
A live broadcast.
We'll do a live birthday party. Live
party.
Kiwi. Yes, let's do this.
Okay.
All right.
Done. Oh, Tavo. Yeah, well, I mean, that's good profit. Sold the $500 Pacer for $800. That's good. Good. Yeah, good in the day. Yeah, if only we knew then what we know now, huh?
Craig Ritchie.
Here's this guy, Dominic Serganes, 2003. My buddy bought a 69 Charger RT from the original owner, 63,000 original miles. Paid $9 grand for it.
Yeah, I believe it. Listen, you got to go back to when those cars were commonly around, like the middle 70s, and nobody wanted them because at that time, styling had gone from, it went from like the aggressive 1970, like, and the Charger's like the epitome of that, like that aggressive organic styling, to the opera window and you know, that whole thing. So by 1975. So if you were driving a car that had that organic muscle car kind of look in the middle 1970s, you were a loser. Nobody wanted, you know what I mean? They went from like, you know, Hemi orange and plum crazy and all these, the harder on all these colors to like, you know, what we have more or less like what we have today, like champagne. You know what I mean? Where it's not even really a color; it's just a shade of nothing, right? And that's what started to become popular. So muscle cars that had that muscle car look to them were like way out of favor, and people just didn't want them. And so really clean 7, 8, 9-year-old cars just went right to the junkyard. And that's what you could buy them for. You buy them for what the junkyard would give you. And the junkyard was like, if you drive it in, they'll give you $75. This is the way it was back then. And so you could buy these cars all day and all night for next to nothing.
You need to read this one out from Gordon Walker.
Gordon Walker, the gentleman next to you, Tony, is a good person.
Thank you.
Oh, that settles that. Yeah, because I had been wondering.
You had your doubts.
I did have my doubts. I still do, kind of. You come up with some stuff and I'm like, you know, all right.
Hit the down button. Catch up. Nope, that one. August 25th is a Friday. Good to know. I hadn't even looked it up.
He's got your birthday all memories. He's got a birthday week celebrated for you.
Oh,
Already
very
planned.
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Let's see.
Charlotte, last week I was chewed out. This week he was timed out. What the fuck? Oop, not supposed to say that. Oop. I just read it. It came out.
I puffed smoke in your direction. There you go. Let's see. Blake, what is our car behind Kiwi? That is Project Bottle Rocket.
Paul Pajoey, Kiwi, do you ever do your own vinyl top replacement? Yes, I do. Not that hard, actually.
I've tried it. I failed miserably.
You got to have the right glue. You got to have a compressor and a real spray gun, a real upholsterer's spray gun. You can't do it with can shit. And yeah, you do a section at a time and glue it down.
I tried it.
Some people like spray glue over the whole thing and then drop it down. And if they ain't got it like nuts on, it's a shit fight.
Ironically enough, I did it on a 74 Charger SE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I tried it.
Right.
Oh, I felt miserable. There were wrinkles and ripples, and I when I dropped it and it stuck, it wasn't quite all the way to like the molding. So like it was like the windshield molding. It was like dead even with the windshield molding. So it was just. I mean, I screwed the pooch on this vinyl top every way you can screw the.
But you only did it once, right?
I only did it once, and I said, you know what? That's it. You know, this is my vinyl top experience.
Padded vinyl roof have to be a little more difficult. I've never tried that, but yeah, quite possibly, yeah.
See, okay, you are catching up. You've got 201 likes.
No, we're getting there.
Holy shit.
We're getting there.
All right. But you only got a half hour to go. I don't think you could get 100.
You don't think I can get another
118 likes in 34 minutes? No, can't do it.
Okay, here's a random thing to say. I tried biscuits and gravy for the first time earlier. Not impressed.
Oh, it's my brother Ralph.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Come on over, man. We'll be on for another half hour. 34 minutes, 33 minutes. Let's see.
Oh, okay. Oh, wrong one. Just Kiwis, Krispy Kremes, and Kazoos. There you go.
A new channel?
It's a new channel. No, it's not a new channel. Danny Boyd, replace the vinyl top on your old Cougar. Yeah, hopefully you remove the stainless trim around the windshield and backlight. But yeah, other than that, that's all you don't need to take the windshield, the glass out.
GMO 1515. Do we ever get to see Uncle Kathy on camera? Probably not. She's really camera shy. I mean, she's made brief appearances here and there, but she doesn't like to be on camera. I don't like to be on camera, but you know what? It's my freaking job, so I do it.
Mrs. Kiwi's the same way. She did a little brief cameo on that when we did the bike the kart race out here. Yeah, saw her.
He's a ham. He'll do anything to be on camera. It's crazy, right? By the way, you guys are subscribed to Kiwi's Krusty Cougars, and what was the other? Kiwi's Cougar Catastrophe?
Cougar's Catastrophe.
Are you guys subbed to Kiwi? You need to be subbed to Kiwi, and you need to like all of his videos, and you need to share all of his videos and all of his rhetoric and propaganda among the masses. He needs to be heard. His voice needs to be heard.
Yep.
Yes. One of us should hit the button.
Oh, the button. Oh, yeah. Really wanted my dad to buy that Hemi convertible. He bought a Scamp. Well, that's one end of the scale to the other, isn't
it? J. Russell Finch, UT, do you have a simple carby tuning video? Yeah, there's tons of them, bro. I break down like every type of carburetor there is and do every kind of tuning thing as I can.
That's Mrs. Kiwi. She's on using my name.
He's only a cougar for you to. Oh, that's so gay. That's yeah. And Maury would know. Oh, jeez. Don't do that, okay? You know, I told you I'm homo paranoid. That doesn't mean I don't like gay people. I like gay people. I think they're great, okay? But I'm homo paranoid, so I don't like. Like he likes to always sit really close. You notice this? Look, see the way this is? Look, I'm halfway off the camera. Look, I'm all the way over here, and look where he is. He's in the. See what happens? See, it's creepy. That's creepy. What's happening there?
Kiwi's videos are a big hit on the Cougar Facebook groups. Oh dear.
Oh, I'm sure.
Jim Dupre. Yes, you can see Mrs. Kiwi in the video of my Mustang. Yes, in the reflection.
But Kiwi's never actually seen his own reflection. So.
No, it's just blank. I don't have a
Nothing
reflection
there.
in the mirror. There's nothing there. I'm not sure what that says about me. But... the way Kiwi looks at Uncle Tony is creepy.
Yes, I know. But let's.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel, guys.
Yeah,
like you just got to snuggle up to him a little bit.
Yeah,
and like
I
he's
really,
terrified.
I am. I swear to God, I am. I really am. You know, I won't go to any sort of male doctor.
Really?
Yeah. I won't. I refuse to have a male touch me. Like,
really?
Even I will die.
No prostrate exam.
No. You know something? I swear to God, I'm not even really sure what that is. Okay. Now, what I do know is this: when I went for my fuel license, right, for the nitro license,
yeah.
Okay.
They wanted to check.
I had to have this physical. Okay. Right. The NHRA had gave me. You have to
might have been a setup if they wanted you to check the prostrate to get a nitro license.
Well, it was an FAA physical. It's an FAA physical, and I went through it, and I passed the physical. And the funny thing, he did the whole the stress test.
Oh yeah.
And when I was done, I had my shirt off. When I was done, I went to put my shirt back on. I had a pack of cigarettes in the pocket. And the doctor goes, "You smoke?" And I said, "Yeah, I smoke 2 packs a day, right?" He says, "Oh, that's impressive." Then he was going to put his glove on. Okay, he takes out a glove. Now, I had heard about this, but I didn't know what it was, right?
When they snap the wrist, that
yeah,
that's when you know you're in trouble.
And I saw him start to put a glove on, and I was like, "That's not what I think it is, right?" He says, like something along those lines. Yeah, unfortunately, it is. He says, "Take the glove off. Keep your hands in your own fucking pockets." And that was it. And he said he passed. You know what I mean? He filled it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
He filled it out.
Oh dear. Your head and cough. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, I will die. I'm telling you, I'm gonna die of like a hangnail or an ingrown toenail or some shit like that.
Tony has only ever coughed in private. Ooh. What the worst thing you can hear? What's the worst thing you can hear during a prostrate exam? Oh, there's got to be a good punchline to that one.
Let's see. GMO 1515. Hey guys, I just saw an episode of Phantom Garage on Motor Trend tonight that had a 69 Z28. There was an auction car. Needless to say, it would have been a great feature for your car flippers. Oh, okay, we're gonna have to watch that.
Phantom Garage. Okay. Bottle Rocket gave a prostrate exam to the 426 to Casper on the quarter mile.
That's not nice. That's not nice. It's true, but it's not nice.
Have you guys ever seen Born to Run 1993? I don't think I have, no.
I have not. Let's see. Tony's not homophobic. I'm not homophobic. I'm homoparanoid. There's a difference. And I have friends that are gay. I've always had gay friends that came and went through my life. And they know, just don't touch Tony. It's all good. I ran coffee houses for years. I was surrounded by gay guys and guys in dresses and all that other stuff. And that doesn't bother me. Just don't touch me.
Studio 70, Thailand car scene. I've actually seen a little bit of video of that Thailand car scene. That's pretty wild. They're out there.
The Thailand motorcycle scene is off the chain. They're small bore motorcycle scene. Have you ever seen any of this shit?
No, not motorbikes.
No. Google Taiwanese motorcycle drag racing.
Huh.
It's off the chain. They take these little 125cc Hondas, and they run like single-digit quarter miles with them. They're built like bicycles. They have little bicycle tires on them, bicycle wheels. The riders, they're all like jockeys. These guys were all like 4'6". They weigh like 85 pounds. It's insane. The Taiwanese are so obsessed with drag racing. They will drag race anything. They have these I guess they're rice patties that they have there, and they drag race these devices through rice paddies. It's like kind of like a chariot, and they stand on one end, and they have the motorized part, and they pull it, and they drag race through the rice paddies. Taiwanese people will drag race anything. They're obsessed with it.
Chris Cadman, Kiwi with a question mark. What's that about? Did I miss something? What's the question?
That's the Japanese, the Dodge vans, Dodgy vans. Dodgy vans, they call them.
Good Lord. Charlotte, Kiwi, I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body. Well, thanks for sharing that. I respectfully retract my offer to come down and
yeah, it's a weird night tonight. That's good.
Oh, well, here's a technical question. You better answer that one, Tony.
Okay.
As we haven't really talked much about. Well, we have a bit, but not much.
Xavier, Tony, do you think an 1806 Edelbrock 650 car would be the best carburation for a 355 small block Chevy, 380 horsepower? Yeah, it's actually a little on the small side. I would go with the 750. I think it'll be better overall. The 750 has the same primaries as the 650 with a slightly bigger secondary, so it's not going to be a difference in fuel mileage or anything like that. Yeah, but either way, it's a good choice. Jim Dupree. We'll go back to that.
There we go.
Tony, there's a name for it. Not so unusual. Haphophobia, an intense irrational fear of being touched. Only by guys. Only by guys. I go home, my granddaughters climb all over me. I love that. You know, there's no just males. I don't like to be in contact with anything male. Like I love male dogs. I pet them and stuff like that, right? But I don't want them to get too close to me because it's like dog dick. I don't want to be anywhere near it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but female dogs, I love female dogs. Same way with people. Female things. I love female things. I want to be surrounded by female things. But nothing male. I just don't like male things.
Rusty Water, you guys need to get together with Electro Boom and Theo Von and watch the creativity. That would be a giggle.
And do what?
With the Electro Boom.
Yeah.
And Theo Von, he's a comedian.
Oh, I've never heard of Theo Von.
Yeah, no, he's funny. He's good. He kind of hangs out with Joe Rogan a bit. If you've heard of him. What was that about the Born to Run? Born to Run 99.3 stars, the 70 Fastback 428, along with Richard Grieco, in a neat racing movie set in New York. Huh. Born to Run. We're going to have to look that up. I did not know Dom Prudhomme was a car painter.
Yes, he started out as a car painter.
Huh. That's John M. That's why Tony doesn't answer emails.
That's a possibility. That could be a subconscious side effect of all of this. Joe K, but the female animals are usually not as striking and pretty as the males. Cardinals, mallards, ducks, etc. Yeah, you're talking about birds, right? Screw birds. We're not birds, right? We're mammals. What
the heck is this live stream? Is this like the Blue Planet, like we're getting into now, or what?
I don't know. But all of the animals that we eat that are tasty are all females. We eat female. We don't eat bulls. We eat cows, right? You know what I'm saying? So. Let's see. We eat chickens. We don't eat roosters.
CW. Female things can be nice. Well, not going there.
Clayton's Toolbox. Tony, my street strip car is too low for the local alignment rack. Just did a tape measure alignment on it last year. It seems okay. Do you do it this way? Any tips? Yeah, tape measure alignments are fine. Nothing wrong with that. But just make sure that it's as a drag car now, make sure your alignment is at the height that the car is going to see. Different cars with different types of suspensions. Is it ARM suspension? Like different types of cars with different suspension characteristics carry the front end differently. So if you get, let's say, typically 3 inches of rise, 4 inches of rise, or more, you have to make sure that you're aligning for that. So just your static alignment, just the car sitting at rest, isn't really going to do you much good, right? Uh, so you have to align the car at the attitude at which it's going to spend the majority of its time going down the track.
Now, here's a question. Randy Tidwell. What is the deal with paint jobs? 10K for a cheap job and they take 3 years. What the
10K is really cheap.
10K is on the cheap side. Well, it depends what sort of paint job you're getting. And typically a paint job, it's kind of a misnomer. A paint job is really a lot of body work as well, like all the blocking and all the sanding. And you know exactly how much time, how many hours you spend block sanding. Like it's hours and hours and hours, and
it's painful.
Yeah, it's just hours. Like, and then like polishing a paint job when you color sand it or polish it, buff it, to that mirror shine. That's 40 hours to do that. Well, if your shop's $100 an hour, that's $4,000 to polish it once you've painted it. So yeah, that's why 10K is cheap, but it depends what kind of. I send so many people to Mako. And people go, Mako, and they like big react. And it's like, look, not all Makos are the same. We've got one at Antioch, which has got quite a good reputation. They will do the kind of paint job you ask for. So if you want a $5,000 paint job, they'll give you a $5,000 paint job. And it's not that bad. But, your options are limited. You either go to a hot rod shop and everyone's like myself is working on their name, like protecting their name. So they want anything that's painted at their shop that goes out, want it to be 100%. And 100% paint job is gonna cost you $20,000.
Well, the thing. Okay, so like a Mako paint job, people frown on that. Oh, Mako, right?
Yeah.
But the place, everything is designed to do paint jobs. Like the whole system, all these people do is paint jobs. And the guy who squirts the paint at your car mixes it, and that's all he does every day, all day. That's his job, right? So yeah, people will laugh at something like a Mako paint job, but you can't find a higher level of commercial professionalism. And then you can find individual stuff, like you can find like, okay, so he's an artist, right? You can find custom stuff that's next level. But man, it's hard to beat somebody who does this every day, all day for a living in an environment that's designed specifically only to do that job. So don't stick your nose up at something like a Mako paint job.
No, that's exactly right. Jim Dupree. Well, hey, thanks, man, for saying that. Yeah, the Bullet Mustang. That's an interesting one. He'd love to see it. Me restore it to its former glory. But a lot of the value in that car is the authenticity of it, the damage that it's got, the blisters, the bumps, the bruises. Yep. And I don't know that you would make it worth any more by doing $100,000 restoration.
No, you would hurt it.
Potentially you would, because then it could be any car.
The car is famous from the movie.
Yeah.
And so any damage it incurred from the movie is what it's worth.
Any dent that Steve McQueen put on it is like, oh.
Exactly.
Exactly. The Steve McQueen.
Exactly. And for hundreds of years from now, whoever owns that car can whip out the movie and say, see that ding? Look.
Yeah.
Let's see. Stranger Sound. Somebody in my friend Pete's stream said you were interested in doing a stream with him. True. I would. I like that guy. He's so unhinged. I think we would get along. He would bring out the worst in me, because I have so much my friend Pete in me. It's like I'm pretty low key. You know what I mean? Very low key. But right immediately under the surface, I am my friend Pete. So I think if we got together, it would be like next level. I would meet him at his level, and we would I think we would have a lot of fun.
I saw something here. Urban Cowboy. Kiwi is using metal reinforced Bondo with mesh to do a patch job on using a metal reinforced Bondo with mesh to do a patch job on a quarter panel. Okay. Now, no. I mean, you're going to get a negative answer from me, and some people are going to say yes. The people that did that Cougar are going to say, "Oh, that's high end, like metal reinforced filler. That's like trick." But me personally, no. That's you repair rust holes with metal, with fresh metal, and it gets welded in, and you do it the right way.
CW Mako normally hires people from local body shops that are working part-time, says my local Mako manager. But regardless whether they work part-time or full-time, their job is painting cars. This is what they do. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to make simple mistakes. They're not going to make dumb mistakes because it's all just reflex. So it's all like, you know, it's a muscle memory. You know what I'm saying? Vegas 660, new channel. Could you do a vid about burnout? Sometimes people just fall out of passion for cars and how to avoid it or what to do. Uh, so, Kiwi, what's your opinion on burnout? I'm sure you've reached burnout.
Oh yeah, I mean sometimes you just like cars I'm working on in the shop. Sometimes you just got to have a break.
Yes.
And sometimes it's that's why I haven't got one in the shop at the moment, but it's nice to have your own car in there at times, and not like when you just had enough of that car and that car and that one, and you just want to do. I find just want to do something creative, and it kind of recharges my battery a little bit, and so I need I have a day or something like that working on my own stuff or something that I particularly want to do, and it may not be in the right order as far as when it came in.
Right.
And some customers might think, "Why are you working on that one before mine?" Well, sometimes it's the case because I have to.
Right. I got to go. I'm burned out on this. I got to do
I've
that.
block sanded for the last 3 weeks, and I need to do something that's going to actually, reduce the level of brain damage that I'm currently suffering. So yeah, the burnout is a thing. Walk away, have a break, come back to it, think about it. Like just ponder what you're doing, your next moves or whatever, and try and revive that enthusiasm for it. But just don't walk away for too long because it's quite easy to just walk
I've
away
done that.
and forget it. I've done it. God,
I've done
I've
that.
Done it.
So my life is a series of burnout, right? I do things and I do them like a madman, all right? And then I burn out. My biggest burnout phase was after the nitro thing, right? When I quit that and I went cold turkey with everything. And for a couple of years, I had nothing to do with cars. Nothing to do with cars, right? I worked on them, but myself, no cars. I had motorcycles, and to get away from like the car business, I did coffee houses, just because I couldn't take another instant of anything to do with cars. And then it comes back. You know what I mean? So I've taken years off. I've taken years away from this. And you come back refreshed, and you come back with a different attitude, a different perspective. You know what I mean? And like I'm really enjoying this phase of it right now. I didn't ever think I'd be doing YouTube. I didn't think I would ever be doing this stuff on video and stuff like that. That was never part of the plan. But I'm really enjoying this. I'm genuinely having fun. And like with Kiwi to tell you, this isn't an act. I really am having fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm going to burn out from this. When I burn out from this, I'll just like,
well,
okay.
You did take a break from live streams for a while, didn't you?
I mean, YouTube in general.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Xavier, Kiwi, how would you plan out restoring a car completely? My dad installed a new engine, rebuilt transmission, other small stuff before he passed. Well, sorry about that, man. Been doing research, but would love your advice. If you're going to do a complete restoration, I mean, the motor and transmission's got to come out again, so that you can paint the engine bay and like prep the underneath and get the underneath pretty. But yeah, I mean, really, it's just dive in. It's not a complete restoration is hard to do in stages. You've really got to just blow the thing apart completely, like every last nut and bolt, get it out, get it pulled apart. My advice would be take a ton of pictures. I mean, it's all digital now, so it's not like you're paying for 24 exposures and you've got to go down to Kodak and get them. The pictures developed. Those days are long gone. But take a ton of pictures. Take more than you think you need, because when you go back to it, you go, I wish I'd been like a little bit that way when I took that photo, because you can't quite see the thing that you never thought you'd want to be looking at.
You know, it's funny. Every time I try, because people are like, take pictures of what you're doing. And every time I try to do that and I go back to reference it, I never see what I need to see.
Yeah.
I always take a picture of something,
Yeah.
or what I need to see is just out of the front.
Yeah, just blocked by that,
Yeah.
that Edelbrock car or something, you know. So take a ton of photos from lots of different angles. Yeah, and that's really helpful because, I mean, it's probably going to take you a couple of years and your memory fades, brother. If memory fades, you go, oh, yeah, I remember how that goes. Where that goes in there. That's obvious when you're pulling it apart. And then 2 years later, you're like, what the heck is this? Especially if it's a hobby thing. When you're doing it all the time, like, you know, someone can walk up to me with a random Mustang part and they go, oh, yeah, that goes there. You know, but I've done a ton of Mustangs. I do more than any home restorer is going to do. So I've got an unfair advantage, really. Yeah, Kiwi, along with pictures, sandwich bags with post-it notes. Yep. For fasteners to recall where they went. Yeah, you got to bag and tag everything. And even if it's old bolts that you think that I'm not going to use these again because they're just too old and a bit rusty and whatever, bag them and tag them anyway, because then you know, okay, this is the size bolt that holds the doohickey onto the thing, and then you can get more of those bolts and you know what size that was, and you know.
So he's right. Unless you do something repetitively, like you keep doing the same job over and over again on the same cars, so you know every little fastener. Yeah, he's right. That's bag and tag and sort just that way.
And you don't end up throwing a lot of the stuff you bagged and tagged away at the very end of it when you're all done. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. If you throw them away at the beginning, you can be sure there's going to be a handful of those things that you threw away thinking you'd never use them. It'd be like, damn, I wish I'd kept that.
I always go out of my way to reinstall as many screws or fasteners as I can in the parts that came out.
Oh, right. Like almost reassemble them.
Reassemble it, like, you know, like water pump bolts. You know, you always sort in water pumps, especially on Forts. They're all different lengths. So what I'll do is I'll take the bolts out and put them in order as I'm taking them out. Take the pump off and then put them back in the pump in the order, so that this way when you go to put it back together again.
Yep.
That's a real time saver.
It takes a little bit longer when you're doing the reassembly rather than just throwing it in the back. But yeah, when you're putting it back together and you're trying to, oh no, this one should have gone there, and you got to undo it and move it. And, yeah. So some reassembly as you're going along is a good thing.
Chris, hi Uncle Tony and Kiwi. Who makes the blackest paint?
Oh,
it's called. Give me a second now. It has a name, and it's this ridiculously black paint that like no light can be reflected from. What's it called? It's right on the tip of my tongue. It has a name. But I don't think it's available as an auto paint. I think it's it's a very exotic, very expensive, like it's a scientific paint. It's, you know, it's like not the kind of thing that you just go to an auto parts store and say, hey, I need some of this.
I've used a base maker black on several cars, which is the 90% of the color that goes into these different blacks that have got a little bit of blue in them or a little bit of green in them and that, you know, that kind of thing. Base maker black that's what I've been told or led to believe is that's the blackest black.
I have to Google this.
But yeah, Tony might be onto something.
I'm gonna
Kevin Callett, Kiwi, the blue on that Cougar disaster, a factory color. No, I don't believe it was. It wasn't the original color to the car, and it's close to a Ford color of that era, but it's a little different. It was a nice color.
Okay, MIT engineers developed the blackest black material to date. But there's a name for it. Vanta Black.
Vanta?
Vanta Black. VANTA BLACK.
Okay.
Wait, is Vanta Black still the blackest black? Oh, yeah. Only 5 years after Vanta Black was discovered. See, the color you have to discover. It's so black. You have to discover this color. All right. So only 5 years after Vanta Black was discovered, MIT found a black which is 10 times darker. The new black captures 99.995% of all incoming light. Funnily enough, the scientists who discovered the new colors were not trying to create the blackest black at all. It's called Actar. Actar is the blackest black.
Hmm.
So there you go.
Stranger sound saying Muso black. Okay.
No, I think that's late. That Muso black is like old school. They've gone like levels beyond that.
Vanta was developed by Mercedes.
It says MIT.
Hmm.
And they have to discover it. Because you don't mix this paint, you discover it.
Oh, Danny Boyd. That paint was so nice on that Cougar that I would leave the Bondo in the body panels. Yeah, well, you could get away with leaving a lot of that on that car, a lot of the bodywork as is. The exterior, but underneath, not so much.
Yeah, MIT had to discover the lack of light.
Captain
Spinal
Desmond,
Tap black.
Spinal Tap black.
None blacker. Kiwi, look what time it is. We have 5 minutes left, and you never caught me. You never caught me on the lights.
Yeah, we closed up though. We're
297
like 20,
to
75, 70 something away.
Oh, it's okay.
78.
You did
Pretty
all right.
close.
You did all right.
It's pretty close.
Clayton's Toolbox. Where can I find info on building drag race car and building a tube chassis? Books. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, what kind of tube chassis car? Are you talking about a door slammer? Are you talking about a dragster, or an altered, or funny car type of thing? There's so many different types of tube chassis cars, and they all take completely different disciplines.
Any updates on the other flipper cars since their videos aired?
What was that now? Any other updates?
Any updates on the other flipper cars since their videos aired?
No.
And I don't know what's happened to that truck. That was kind of one of the bigger ones.
I know they stopped doing YouTube.
Oh, Possum Hollow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They stopped. Clayton's Toolbox. You're building a door slammer. Oh God, who was? So there was a book. Somebody in here I know is and pro stock guy wrote a book in the middle 1980s. So four-link door slammer technology hasn't really changed very much. It's been refined, but the principles behind it haven't changed very much since the 80s, the very early 80s. I'm trying to think of the book. I read this book like eons ago, but I didn't really commit it to memory because I was a funny car slash dragster kind of guy. But I was interested in the topic, and I'm trying to think who wrote it. And it was God. It'll come to me. Or somebody in here will know the book I'm talking about. It was like a door slammer racer's Bible for the longest time. But that would be a good starting point to get an education on how a four-link type of car works. The Jim Carroll band. Those are people who died, man.
Danny Boyd, it's so black that it absorbs sound too. Good Lord.
All right,
like a black hole.
We are gonna wrap it up now because it's wow. Do you believe that, bro? The time just flies. These Thursday night things just go, right?
Yeah, 9:10. So we were a little bit late getting.
We were a little bit late getting
together.
going. I got my granddaughters at the house. I do want to get back there before they go to sleep.
Oh, okay.
But so, are you subscribed to Kiwi's channel?
Please do. Yes.
Kiwi's catastrophic cougars and crustaceans, and I can't even. Kiwis. I'm out of bullets, bro. I'm out of bullets. Kiwi's classic. I can't even remember that one either.
Kiwi classics and customs.
Just find something that says Kiwi and sub to it. That's all you got to do, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Good night, Franco. Franco, they closed our favorite track, Franco. Our favorite track is gone, bro.
Captain Desmo,
smell the glove.
Oh. Yeah, maybe not.
Kiwi's cornbread and cranberries. Oh, David subscribed. Yeah, go over there and sub to Kiwi's channel, and
good on you, David. Thank you, man.
Yes, and watch all of his videos, and like all of his videos, and share all of his stuff, and go to my store. UncleTony'sGarage.com. These are the new shirts that we've got in the store right now for your buying pleasure. They're black with white lettering, so they're always in style. And
Well,
they're made from material.
you're a stylish person, Tony.
Yes,
so that's
very
we would
stylish.
expect no less.
Very stylish. Yes, Jack Dupree is subscribed to both channels.
Good on you.
All right.
Wrap up, guys. I need to get the cameras out and do some content. We're working on the Valiant. Well, I might just go and take a look at that, Tabo.
All right. So, guys, Fubar, Zero, Ari, guys, thank you so much for always minding the fort here and
Yes,
keeping the
thank you very
masses
much,
under
guys.
control. Everybody contributed Super Chat. Thank you so much. Keep the wheels turning. It's never expected, but always appreciated. And everybody contributed just your presence and your conversation. Thank you. We love you guys. That's why we do this stuff. Well, I get paid pretty well, but that's besides the point. I do love you guys. And
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
we'll see you on our regular Sunday night show, 7 o'clock. And I'll have a date with Steve Magnanti. We'll have a date for our next live. It'll be
All right,
coming up sometime in
Franco.
the beginning of August. So, everybody,
And
thank
big
you
par-
all.
Big party here on the 20. Well,
The
20,
29th,
26th,
23rd,
7th.
20 something. Kiwi's birthday, yay!
And
Uncle Kathy's birthday. So yeah, we'll do something. That'll be fun.
Don't ask her how old she is, though. You can't be doing that.
She's pretty old. All right, guys. I'm gonna make this stop
so
now. I'm gonna
romantic.
hit this
You're just a
button.
romantic
I
at
am
heart,
like
aren't
I have the romances just blowing out of me. It's crazy, right? You think
something's
it's
blowing out on you.
sweat,
That's why
Kiwi.
the guy had to wear the
Yeah.
rubber glove.
You think it's sweat? No,
It's
that's
just
romance. Just yeah. All right, guys. That's it. I'm pulling a plug.
See you
Night,
guys.
all.